Today on StockCharts in Focus, we're exploring some of the different ways around the site to measure percent change and price performance. Now, of course, in the market right now, we got all this talk about a bear market, a 20% decline across a whole bunch of these different averages. Now we got a bit of a rally. We're jumping back up by a few percentage points. So how do you measure those different moves in the market? That's exactly what we're going to explore on today's show. Show you exactly how easy it is to measure some of these percent change moves around your charts. Now, of course, we're also going to talk about our spring special. Just a couple of days left to save big with our spring special, up to 2 months of StockCharts free. So we're going to show you all the details on that as well. Of course, you know what it is. It's all new. It's all here. It's StockCharts in Focus. All right, my friends, welcome to the show, StockCharts in Focus. Of course, our product focus show here on the channel where we dig into the site, dive into the features, show you around the tools, and ultimately help you get more value out of StockCharts. That is our mission here every Friday on the channel. Of course, on the live channel, 5 p.m. Eastern time, up on our YouTube channel after that. And don't forget the on-demand platform at StockChartsTV.com. Lots of different ways to watch. I am your host for the show. My name is Grayson, Roze, Vice President of Operations here at StockCharts.com. So good to be with you for, I think, what's going to be a very timely, very fun episode. We always have fun on this show, but this one especially, we got all this talk about a bear market down 20% across some of these major indexes. Now we've had a bit of a rally. We're back up by a couple percentage points. We want to be able to measure all of these different moves, see exactly how far we've gone, not just on a price basis, but also on a percentage basis. It's important to be able to measure some of these percent change moves right on your chart. So we're going to show you exactly how to do that with a couple of little setup tricks on today's show. We're going to do this in SharpCharts. We're going to show you how you can use some of these tools in ACP as well. So we're really going to move around the site, show you quite a lot. Again, a timely episode helping you measure some of these percent changes. And we'll show you also how you can use some of these tools to just measure price performance over a long period of time. So lots to cover on the show. Now, before we do that, I want to remind everyone right now for just a couple more days, we've got our spring special going on. You might have seen the banners up around the site. We've had these big blue banners up at the top of the site with a link to sign up and save big with this spring special. But what we are offering right now, up to 2 free months of StockCharts service when you sign up for a new account or when you renew your existing account. You sign up for 12 months, we're going to give you an additional 2 months for free. On top of that, sign up for 6 months, we're going to give you an additional 1 month for free. So I want to make sure that you're aware of what's going on right now, because again, there's just a couple of days left. When the month is gone, this special is going to disappear with it. So let's jump over to the site really quickly. We'll show you that spring special page, show you how you can take advantage of that. And then we'll get into today's show talking about percent changes, some of these tools for measuring price performance over time. Here we go. All right, everyone. So we are here on the members dashboard. This is, of course, the first page that you see when you log in. And if you log into your account, you should see this blue banner up across the top of the site. Now, this is a page for members, though. So if you are not a current member, you should also see this blue banner on the charting page, on the charts and tools page, as we are right here, even on the home page, really all around the site. We're going to have this blue banner up. Very, very easy. All you got to do is click here for details, as that banner says. So like I mentioned, we've got up to 2 months free right now. That means you can save up to almost $80 on a StockCharts subscription right now. This page, I just wanted to show it to you really quickly, show you how easy it is to access this and sign up for the special. Once you're here, all you got to do is click the big green button to sign up or to renew your account. So depending on whether you are logged into an existing account or whether you are not a member and you are just on the site, not logged into anything, this button will actually look a little bit different and the page will look a little bit different. But in either case, if you've been thinking about signing up for StockCharts for a while, this truly is one of the best times of the year to sign up. We only do this for a couple of days really throughout the year, typically at the end for Cyber Monday and kind of the holiday season. But we're doing a spring special right now. Thought it was a good thing to do with all the craziness in the market. Put a smile on your face here, give you some spring savings on StockCharts. So if you have been thinking about signing up for our premium features to take advantage of some of the things that we're going to show off on the show today, and of course scans, alerts, advanced charting, all of that good stuff, this really is one of the best times of the year to sign up. You can come here, just click this big green button to get started. If you're a current member, you can also take advantage of this. So regardless of which service level you are at, basic, extra, or pro, you can extend your existing membership out by 12 months, and we're going to tack on 2 free on top of that as well. Or you can extend your current membership by 6 months, and we're going to give you 1 month free on top of that. So you got all the details here on this page. Of course, you can compare different service levels, and there's another big green button down at the bottom of this page as well. So very easy to take advantage of this. But I do want to remind everyone, this really is the best time of the year to sign up. And of course, if you're an existing member, this is the best time of year to extend your account out, renew at a basically a reduced rate. You're going to get that extra time for the same price as a standard 6 or 12-month subscription. So it really is one of the best times of year. And once it's gone, it's not going to come back until Cyber Monday or the holiday season there at kind of the end of December. So it's going to be a while till we run another one of these specials. So definitely make sure you take advantage of this spring special right now while we have it. Again, just look for those blue banners up at the top of the page, but you can also just go to stockcharts.com/special. That'll take you right to that page there if you just want to go there directly. So with that out of the way, let's jump over to the SharpCharts Workbench. And we're going to have some fun today, again, digging into some of these tools for measuring percent change and price performance over time. We're going to start in SharpCharts, and from there, we'll jump over to ACP, take a look at some of these tools over there as well. So here we go. So as I mentioned, we are going to start here on the SharpCharts Workbench, taking a look at some of the tools that you can use to measure percent change on your charts directly. And then we'll also use a couple of other tools to measure price performance over time. So a couple of really exciting, fun tricks. Again, these are things that I use every day. Some of the tools that we're going to look at are things that I personally use actively in my own approach to the market. So especially given the environment that we find ourselves in right now with a sort of emerging bear market here across a lot of these indexes. Some of these indexes are already in a bear market. This is a very timely thing to know. Of course, when we talk about a bear market, it's always this 20% number. We got a correction at 10%, we got a bear market at 20%. So we want to be able to measure those percent moves right on our charts. Thankfully, there are a couple little tricks that we can use, a couple little tools right here on the SharpCharts Workbench and also in ACP that can help us measure those percent changes very, very easily. So we're going to start with one that we've actually discussed on the show quite a few times. That is what we call the inspector. So if I turn this off really quickly and I hover over the chart, you can see that there's really nothing there. I do have, of course, my little green circle to make sure that you can see where my cursor is. But when I hover over this chart, there's nothing there. It's just my cursor. Now, if I turn on the inspector, you can see that now when I hover over this chart, we get that horizontal line and that vertical line and that little info box. So this is a very, very helpful way to sort of see different price levels, see different time points as well with the vertical line there. We've talked about this tool many times on the show as a great way to see support and resistance levels with that horizontal line going across your charts. There's a measuring function, though, that is built into this tool, and it is a very, very helpful little thing. It is so easy to turn this on as well. Again, all you got to do is check that box, and once the inspector is turned on, you have the power to measure things on this chart in 2 directions. So showing you the first one, you can actually click and drag horizontally, laterally, to measure time. You can see over there floating on the left side of the screen, we've got the number of periods, and down at the bottom, we can see that little date bar. We get that dashed line across. So we can measure a specific number of periods on this chart very, very easily. In this case, we're looking at 144 periods sort of from peak to peak there on the S&P 500. We can do the exact same thing, though, in the other direction. And when we do that, it's going to measure percent change. So this is an incredibly easy, helpful, quick way to measure percent change. So for instance, here on the S&P 500, we're using the SPY ETF just because I like to use ETFs. We could be using any symbol, though, to do this. When I hover over this chart at the very top, sort of towards the peak there at the beginning of 2022, I can click and then drag down on this chart, and you'll see that it looks exactly the same as laterally, but just vertically now. And over there on the left side of the screen, you can see that we have our little percent change indicator. It also shows us how many points we are moving, what the absolute value of this move is, basically. So we can drag this all the way down to the low that we saw last week. We can see that that was very, very close to a 20.5% move lower here on SPY. So if we're trying to measure percent change just kind of on the fly, this is one of the quickest, easiest ways to do that. Now, when I release the mouse, it's just going to go back to the standard crosshairs there on the inspector. But this means that we can measure different parts of this chart. So for instance, from this sort of interim high down to that low, we can see that that was about a 17.7% move lower. We can see that from this low down to that low of last week, that was about a 7% move. We can also measure this in the opposite direction. So from that intraday low, the other session, all the way up to where we're trading right now on SPY, that is about an 8.7% move up off the bottom, off the lows. So the measurement function within the inspect tool is an incredibly quick, easy, helpful way to measure some of these percent changes right on your charts. This is something that I personally love to just leave on with my charts. And I've always got that kind of horizontal and vertical line to help me see support and resistance. But then when I want to measure something, I've also got that teed up right there as well. So that is kind of stop one for us today, using the measurement function built into the inspector on the SharpCharts Workbench. Now, we might want to take some of those percent moves and actually put them right on the chart, save them, and keep an eye on some of those levels with an annotation. If we had a saved chart, we might want to draw some of these percent change moves right on the chart and actually save that so that we can keep an eye on those things as they evolve. So the next tool that we're actually going to look at is in our Annotations tool. When we click this Annotate button down at the bottom of the SharpCharts Workbench right below our chart, we jump into the annotation mode. There is a tool in here that is very, very easy to use. We've got all of our different tools here, as you can see. There's a very easy to use tool in here, though, that allows us to do basically the same thing as that measurement function that we were just looking at on the inspector. That is, of course, called our percentage change tool. So we can give that a click. We can customize this with any colors or line widths that we want. In this case, it's going to default to kind of what I like to use, which is a thick, faded out kind of purple line. It's going to default to that, though. You can see we've got our percent change tool selected. And now what we can do is draw these lines similar to what we were doing with the inspector, but it's going to allow us to kind of customize the size, customize the position. We can set that up exactly where we want it. So we can see there is our 20% move lower from peak to intraday low on the S&P 500. So this is now an annotation. We could actually save this to the chart, save this to a specific list, save this to a specific chart, and that is going to stay there and evolve over time. As this chart continues to evolve over time, that annotation is going to continue to be there. So this is another very easy, very helpful way to measure some of these percent change moves using, of course, the percent change annotation tool built into chart notes right here on the SharpCharts Workbench. Now, we could do this in either direction as well. So if we actually drag this kind of in the opposite direction, we'll drag our lower line down to that low. We'll drag our top line right to where we're trading right now. We can see there's our 8+% move off the lows to where we're trading right now. And personally, one of the things that I really like about this tool is that you can also kind of use it as a mini sort of built-in support and resistance tool. So this is actually a really interesting time to be doing this, because if we drag this tool across, we can sort of position this and see, where we're trading currently against some levels that we've traded at in the past. And we've also got that percent change move. So these horizontal lines can actually kind of be helpful to draw across your chart, in addition to having that percentage change measurement function. So some interesting things that you can do with this annotation. So if we wanted to save this, all we would do is hit that save button right there. Or if we actually close out of this, it'll prompt us to save those changes In this case, we're just doing this kind of on the fly, showing you how some of these tools work. So I'm not actually going to save this chart. I'll hit no there. Now we are back to our standard chart. Those are our 2% change measurement functions, though, that I wanted to show you right here on the SharpCharts workbench. Again, you've got kind of the on-the-fly measurement function with that inspector, just allows you to drag in different directions and see some of those percent change moves. But if you want to actually save those to a chart, save those to a chart list, revisit those in the future, you can always add those annotations using that percentage change measurement tool right there in chart notes. Now, the next one that we're going to do is actually an indicator. So we've got our very, very stripped out chart of the S&P 500 SPY right up at the top of the screen. Now, we're actually going to come down to the workbench settings area, and we are going to add an indicator to this chart. So when we open up the indicators menu, we're going to go down and we're going to select price performance. Now, you might be familiar with the price tool. What this allows you to do is add another symbol, another sort of price data set to this chart. So if you wanted to add another index or add a ratio symbol, if we wanted to compare the root symbol of this chart to something else, we can use relative strength analysis here with the price tool. When we do price performance, though, it's going to do the exact same thing as that price tool, but just reformatted in percentage terms. So instead of being the absolute values there or the ratio, whatever it is, the price performance tool is going to print everything on this chart in another panel in percentage terms. So this is a very helpful built-in way to do sort of some price performance analysis right on your charts with an easy to use indicator panel. So we're going to select price performance. In this case, what we're actually going to do is type in symbol. Now, this is a little trick that we have built into both SharpCharts and ACP. When you use $ symbol, that means that whatever the root symbol of this chart is, that same symbol is going to get pulled into this indicator panel. So this is going to be helpful for a very specific reason on the chart that we are setting up. Because we're setting it up with this price performance indicator panel, that's going to measure price performance in percent terms over this period. So if I leave this with $ symbol, that's going to pull in SPY, but it's going to show me the percent change moves on that symbol. You'll see that in just a sec. We're going to leave the position as below. We're going to set this up as just a solid thick line because this is just a percent change kind of view. And then we're actually going to set this up with a height of 0.5 just to make it a little bit easier to see. So I hit update, and what we can see now on this chart is that we have a price performance history on this chart for SPY, for the symbol up above. So over the last 1 year, you can actually see here's our range here. This is a 1 year chart. Over the last 1 year, SPY has actually only moved higher by about 0.14%. If we did this a couple of days ago, that number would actually be lower. Now, we've set this up actually with our grid lines turned off. So if we wanted to turn our grid lines back on, maybe we do some dashed grid lines, we'll actually get a helpful little 0 line going across here. There is our 0% line. So that allows us to see where 0 is right on this price performance line. So what the chart that we're looking at allows us to do is say, here's our main chart. Here are our candlesticks here for SPY. We can look at the price action. We could add some moving averages to this. Anything that we could want to do. We can measure, everything like we were doing with the inspector. But the panel down below with that price performance indicator, that's going to give us the price performance history over this time period for that symbol. I find that this is an incredibly helpful view to see kind of how far something has moved. A lot of times when you're looking at a chart, one chart is going to look the exact same as another, but on a percentage change basis, those charts might be very, very different. So adding this panel allows you to actually see sort of how far things have moved. It's also really interesting because we can do some on-the-fly measurement with this panel as well. So we can actually see that back here in the start of 2022, from June of last year, we were actually up about 14% there. You can draw that horizontal line right across. We were actually up about 14% on the S&P 500. You can see sort of how far we've fallen on a percentage term basis. You can see that we dipped into negative territory back here. With that rally that we've actually put in this week, we've actually popped back into to positive territory there. But this price performance indicator just allows you to do some interesting additional analysis on top of what you're doing up there with the traditional bars or candlesticks, whatever you have on your chart. Now, one other really interesting thing is that we can use this price performance line to chart relative strength. This is actually something that's on most of my charts, something that we've talked about on the show in the past. This is a little trick that I love to show people. So just to touch back briefly on that dollar sign symbol thing, because we've set this up with dollar sign symbol, that means, again, that whatever the root symbol of this chart is, we're going to pull that into this price performance panel. So if I now change this to, for instance, Microsoft, you can see that we now have a chart of Microsoft up top. And because that price performance indicator is using the dollar sign symbol parameter there, this has also changed to be a price performance line for Microsoft. So we can see over the last year, Microsoft is up 10%. We could change this to be Apple or something else that we want to chart. We can see that over the last year, Apple's up almost 20%. So this gives us a nice little trick setting this up with that dollar sign symbol in the parameters box. It'll sort of follow along with the chart as you go. And it's a nice little trick for bringing some percentage analysis into your traditional price analysis. I mentioned that we were going to do something interesting though with relative strength, something that I do on all of my charts. We can use this dollar sign symbol and the price performance indicator to create a relative strength line. Now on stock charts, when you want to compare two symbols, all you have to do is separate them with a colon. So AAPL colon MSFT is going to give you a chart of Apple versus Microsoft. We can basically do relative strength analysis with these ratio symbols, as we call them. So what I do on all of my charts, I have a price performance indicator set up with that dollar sign symbol trick and then a colon benchmark. So in my case, I like to do colon VTI. VTI is the Vanguard Total Index, represents the total US stock market. So this is going to show me a ratio symbol of whatever the symbol on the chart is versus VTI. And it's going to do that in percentage terms. So this is actually going to set up a relative strength line in percentage terms on this chart. I'm going to hit enter there. And what we can see down here below is Apple versus the Vanguard Total Index. You can see that there. I'll kind of position that horizontal line right below. Apple versus the total US stock market. This now becomes a relative strength line on this chart, but formatted in percentage terms. So we could use the price indicator in the same exact setup, same exact ratio symbol right in here, and that's just going to give us the straight ratio. A lot of our users, a lot of our experts that write for the site, a lot of folks do that. Personally, though, I find that using the price performance indicator formats this in just kind of a more intuitive way. Instead of thinking about that relative strength line just in terms of the ratio, I actually can think about it in percentage terms. So over the last year, Apple has outperformed the total US stock market by nearly 24%. This setup allows me to do that. So a nice little interesting trick here, another little added boost that you can do with the price performance trick. If you want to use that with a ratio symbol, you can actually set up these relative strength lines on your chart really easily and format those in percentage terms. A nice little trick there. So that kind of walks us through a couple of these different tricks here in SharpCharts for analyzing percent change moves. Again, we've got some measurement tools that we can use. We can also measure price performance with that price performance indicator, adding that to our charts. One other thing I should mention while we're here, you do have the option to actually change the entire chart to be in price performance terms. So if we open up our type menu down here on the Workbench and we scroll down to performance, when we select performance from that menu and hit update, you'll see that that's actually going to reformat the main price chart, the main price panel in percentage terms. We can also do some interesting things here like turning on price labels down here on the Workbench. I'm going to turn on that little price labels box. And that's going to add those little percentage markers along this chart. just to make this a little easier to see, we'll actually turn off the inspector there. So now you can see these little percent change or sort of key percentage markers right there on the charts, these price labels. Those get formatted in percentage terms. And of course, over on the right, you've got the entire chart in percentage terms. So a nice little other option that you do have if you want to view any symbol in that sort of performance view, that percentage view, all you've got to do is select performance down here from your chart type, and that'll reformat everything in percentage terms, just like we were doing with the standalone price performance indicator. So you got a couple of different ways to set this up. If you want your main chart to be kind of the way it always is with your candlesticks or your bars or whatever you use, and then you also want to add that price performance indicator panel down below or up top, you have that option. If you want to switch the entire chart to just be in performance terms, you can do that as well with the performance chart type. So that kind of rounds out a couple of these different ways to view price changes and price performance, percentage changes and price performance right there on your charts in SharpCharts. Now, all of the things we've talked about today can be done in ACP. So we're not going to go back over all of them, but I am going to show you one little trick that you have with the Annotations tool there in ACP that's going to make it even easier and even more accurate to measure some of these moves. So let's jump over to ACP now, of course, our advanced charting platform. And we'll take a look at one of these tools and show you how to use that over in ACP. All right, everyone, so we are now back in ACP. We've got our 1 year candlesticks only chart of the S&P 500 ETF, SPY. So we're kind of starting from the same place that we started over in SharpCharts. Now, again, we're not going to run through everything that we touched on there in SharpCharts in detail. I do want to note, though, the one thing that actually, the one area that SharpCharts is a little bit ahead of ACP here is the inspect function. So in ACP, you do have the ability to turn on these crosshairs, which give you sort of that vertical and horizontal line right on the charts, help you pinpoint things like support and resistance. At the moment, though, this doesn't have the measurement function built into it. We are looking at some creative ways to add that. So stay tuned. We got some more features coming to ACP very soon, and the measurement function just might be one of them. But you do have some other ways to measure percent changes in ACP. And because ACP is just kind of such a fluid platform, it makes it really, really easy to do this. We're going to show you one way that ACP in reverse is ahead of SharpCharts, and that is with the annotation tool and the percent change tool specifically. So over here on the left side of ACP, we've got our annotations menu. You look for the little sort of pen and ruler icon, open up that panel, that's going to pull up all of the annotations. Now, the way that annotations work in ACP, you select your tool, and when you select that, an entire panel is going to open that's got all of the different settings. So it's a little bit different than the sort of stripped out version of the annotation functions in SharpCharts. So in this case, we're going to find our percent change tool over here on the left side of the screen. But before we give that a click, we're actually going to turn on a very, very powerful little feature down here, which is as I hover over to it, it should pop up, the snap to price function. You can see that little label that just popped up, hopefully. So I'm going to actually turn this on. Now, just to show that really quick again, when the snap to price function is turned off, that is going to be sort of a hollow button. When the snap to price function is turned on, it's going to be a filled in yellow button. What the snap to price function is going to do, it basically means that the candlesticks or the bars, the price points on your chart become magnetic. So as you go to draw an annotation, as you hover over the different candlesticks, the different points on a candlestick, the different points on a bar, they're actually going to kind of grab your cursor and it's going to snap to those specific price points on the chart. This makes it even more accurate because instead of kind of guessing at where a high or a low or an open or a close is, you can actually just rely on ACP to snap right to the correct point. So in the case of our percent change tool, let's do something very similar. We're actually going to change this to be our purple line, kind of like we did before, and we'll leave this at kind of a medium thickness here. I'm going to check this settings box in here that says display all values because I want the most information out of this tool that I can possibly get. I'm going to leave the line style alone, but you do have a couple of different options in here for styling this annotation in some different ways. Now you can see down here at the bottom of this panel, we've got our snap to price turned on. That button's actually visible sort of outside of the settings panel and also in the settings panel as well. And it's going to be kind of sticky, so it'll track with you. But we've made sure that our snap to price function is turned on. Now I'm going to hover over this chart, and if you're paying close attention, you can see that as I do that, that little blue dot is actually moving around the screen. Now, depending on the candlestick or the bar that I am hovering over, and depending on kind of where my cursor is positioned, I can actually position this at the high, at the open, at the close, at the low. I've got all of those different options that I can sort of snap to on any of these candles. So that snap to price function is going to make it really, really accurate, especially for measuring things like a percent change move. So for instance, if we wanted to measure from the intraday high to the intraday low on the S&P 500, you can see that I've snapped this now right up to the very top. I can click and drag down, and I can snap this right to that low, the intraday low from last week. Now, when I release that, I've got my annotation right there. We've got our percent move in the middle so that we can see that was exactly a 20.47 percent move lower on the SPY S&P 500 ETF. Because I've checked that display all values checkbox, we've also got our high listed right up at the top of that tool, and we've got our low listed right down at the bottom as well. If we turned those off, you could see that some of those values are going to disappear. Personally, I like to have them on there, just a little bit more data to work with there. But you can see it's very, very easy to use this percent change annotation tool here in ACP to quickly measure percent moves on anything that you're looking at. And we could delete that, and we could start again from the bottom. So we could measure from the intraday low up to the high of today. We can see that that was about almost a 9% move higher from the intraday low last week to the high of today. We're recording this on Friday. So this tool combined with that snap to price function makes it very, very easy to measure different things around ACP. So very similar to what we had in chart notes, but you can be even a little bit more accurate here in ACP because it's so interactive, has that snap to price function that you can quickly and easily turn on or off. Now, if you wanted to turn that off and just kind of do the guesswork, you can always give that button a click. You'll see that it goes back to being a hollow yellow button. And now when I hover over this chart, I can still draw these percent change moves, but it's not going to snap to anything. So it's going to be more of a guesstimate. Now, one nice thing about that is that you can make these as wide as you want. And you can still turn on those display all values. So you can sort of, set it up manually to be, right at that high or right at that low. So you do have a couple options in here, but very, very easy and very, very quick to measure some of these different percent change moves on your charts here in ACP. So I'll delete those. We'll actually close out of here, and we'll hit that big red button down at the bottom to clear out all of the annotations. While we're here in ACP, I do just want to remind everyone, you have access to the exact same options for the price performance stuff that we were taking a look at in SharpCharts. So you've got, of course, your price performance indicator. You can add that to your charts and, of course, do the exact same thing. You could type in $symbol, hit go, and set that up. You can actually sort of manually adjust the heights on here as well. You can adjust your colors, adjust your style. You got tons and tons of options for configuring these charts. But the exact same indicator applies, the price performance indicator. You can set that up on your ACP charts just like we did in SharpCharts. And of course, you can also change your chart type to be performance as well. You have that option. When you select that, that'll do the exact same thing, set up your chart in percentage terms instead of being the absolute price values. So exact same ideas that we were looking at with those price performance measurements in SharpCharts, they all apply over in ACP as well. So that is our show for today. Hopefully you had some fun with me looking at some of these percent change measurement tools, some price performance measurement tools. Again, these are things that I use on my charts every single day. I love using that price performance tool to set up my relative strength lines. It allows me to think about relative strength in percentage terms. we're thinking about, has this outperformed the S&P 500 or whatever benchmark we're using? Has this underperformed that benchmark? Personally, I like to think in percentage terms. This is outperformed by 10% or this is underperformed by 12%. You can use that ratio tool with just a standard price indicator to set up those relative strength lines. But I find that it's really helpful to think about some of those relative strength concepts in percentage terms, just kind of a little bit more of a natural way to think about it, if you will. But using that price performance tool, you can quickly add that panel right to your charts. You can actually have that measurement, sort of price performance measurement for any symbol that you're looking at right on your charts. A nice little easy trick to do that. If you're measuring percent changes on the fly in SharpCharts, you've got your inspect function. You can use that to measure different things, or of course, add an annotation to your charts to easily see those percent change moves. In ACP, of course, you've got your snap to price function there in the annotation tool. You can turn on that snap to price mode, quickly and easily measure some of those percent change moves around your chart. So you got a whole bunch of different ways to measure these percent moves, measure that price performance over time. And of course, in today's environment right now, as we're flirting with bear territory, jumping out, jumping down into it, we got all these percent change moves all over the place, and lots of people talking about, a 20% move down, a 30%, a 50% move down. How high are we going to bounce on the rally here? It's really nice to be able to measure some of those percent change moves right on your charts with some of these tools that we've showed off today. So hopefully, this has given you an idea of how to bring some new percent change measurement, price performance measurement into your approach. Now, before I let you go, I want to remind everyone our spring special going on right now. You can save with up to 2 free months of StockCharts if you sign up for a brand new account or renew your existing membership. So that is only going on for another couple of days. Like I said, when the month is gone, this special is going to disappear as well. It's only here until the end of the month. So make sure you visit that page. Look for those blue banners across the top of the site. You can give those a click to access that page, or just go straight to stockcharts.com/special. That'll take you right to that special marketing page, and you can sign up, take advantage of that special that we got running for just a couple more days. Again, you can save up to nearly $80 off your StockCharts membership. Sign up for 6 and get 1, or sign up for 12 and get 2 free months. And whether you're a free user, you're signing up for StockCharts for the very first time, or you're an existing member, you want to extend your subscription out into the future, in either case, this is one of the best times of the year to sign up. There is not going to be a better time until Cyber Monday rolls around towards the end of the year. So really is one of the best times of the year to sign up. This is something that we only do in very specific, very short periods of the year, typically only towards the end. So it's actually pretty rare that we're running one of these spring specials right now. So make sure you take advantage of that. stockcharts.com/special will take you right there. So you can click that big green button and sign up or renew to get started. I want to thank you though for joining me on today's show. It's been a blast sharing some of these percent change and price performance tools with you. Of course, we do this show every Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern time, up on the live channel, then up on our YouTube channel after that, and the on-demand platform at StockChartsTV.com. Lots of different ways to watch, but always just trying to help you get more value out of the site, show you things you haven't seen before, think about different tools and setups and indicators and options that you have, and in a new way, help you get a little bit more value out of your StockCharts membership, out of the StockCharts tools and features that we have. So this is the place to hear about anything new as well. So as we roll out new features throughout the year, we're always going to announce them here on StockCharts in Focus every Friday. So hope you'll join me again for another episode very soon. Again, my name is Grayson Roze, Vice President of Operations here at StockCharts.com. It's been great to be with you. I'll see you again very soon for another episode. Hope you all have a wonderful weekend. If you're in the States, hope you have a wonderful long weekend as well. I'll see you back here next week, though, for another episode of StockCharts in Focus. And until then, chart on, my friends.
Hey guys, Dave Keller here with StockCharts.com. Thanks so much for watching our video. If you enjoyed it, and we hope you did, hit the like button right below. Also, we have so much new content every day. Consider subscribing to the channel. Just hit the subscribe button in the video or right below. Thanks for watching. Stay safe. Have a fantastic day.